to another episode of Reloader 2001. Today I'm going to go over holster making using PVC drainage pipe. Section like this, I already started forming this, so it's no longer round. This is just 4-inch drainage pipe. You get at the hardware store for about $5 for a 10-foot section. You can make a lot of holsters for $5. Today I'm making a holster for my .45 Shield. I wanted an outside the waistband holster, and I'm just going to show you the process I use for forming this PVC into a holster. For some of you that follow me on Instagram, you probably have seen this, but this is the same process I use to make the holster for my Judge Public Defender. This is an inside the waistband holster, and the reason I made it is because it's not many people are making inside the waistband holsters for a public defender. But the same process is going to work for this right here, for my .45 Shield. And I'm making this one an outside the waistband, so I'm not even going to need to have any extra expense of a clip like the LT clip that I used on the Judge. It's going to be extremely cheap, economical, and it's going to, as you see, it will work extremely well. Now, first thing you're going to have to do is heat up the PVC pipe. Now, what I've started doing here is I started forming it, heating it up with the torch, just a regular torch. I actually like to do this outside, and I use a large weed burner, so it can heat this up very quickly. You just got to be very careful not to leave the flame on it too long, because if you do, you'll get a burn spot like that right there. Luckily, that's going to be on a part of the holster I'll probably end up cutting off anyways, so it's not going to be a problem. Today, I'm actually trying something a little different. I am using a toaster oven. If you can see my video here. It's been heating up. So what I'm going to do is just going to pop this in the toaster oven. You don't want to let it burn. You just want to get this hot enough where the plastic is somewhat quite moldable and malleable. It should be, you can handle it with your hands, but it's not going to be comfortable to hold on to very long. And that's about the temperature you want to be. It'll almost feel like rubber. And I'm just going to let this warm up, and I'll show you in a few minutes. Well, I just made quite a bad mistake. It was too close to the burner. It started to burn it. But as you can see, it's quite malleable, almost like a rubber. And that's what you want. Unfortunately, it's not on the bottom, it's only on the top. So I'm going to have to start from scratch again, because that is exactly what you don't want. It will be really weak and brittle in that point, and you definitely don't want while doing this. Okay, I'm back after I ruined that first piece. Now what I want to show you is I'm flattening this piece out, and what I'm doing is using the torch. Now this is what I've used to make my other holsters, but you do have to be very careful not to burn it in spots. As you can see, I'm just kind of going over it very lightly, not keeping it in one spot too long, just to get it heated evenly. This is why I decided to try to use the toaster oven, because it's much easier to get very even heat. Because if you have cold spots and then hot spots, it just makes it a lot more difficult to mold the plastic the way you want. And again, if, like you saw with my first accident with the toaster oven, it was way too close to the burner, and it started burning the plastic. And if you burn the plastic, you ruin the structural integrity of the plastic. It becomes way too brittle and just breaks right at that point where you overcook it. And with the torch, you got to be very careful not to overcook it. As you can see right now, it is starting to get a little rubbery. It's not quite there yet. But if you can do the entire process just with a torch like this, now granted, what I like to use, like the larger weed torches, the weed burning torches. They generally burn a little cooler than what this MAP gas torch is. But again, I like using stuff that you have around the house. As you can see, this plastic bends quite easily now. And you hold it and let it cool, it'll keep that spot. Now I can see I'm flat enough. This is going to be the basic clamshell that's going to be the start for my holster. I'm going to attempt the toaster oven again, and I'll bring you back if that works. While I'm waiting this to warm up, let me just go over a few things that you might want to do to your firearm for pressing the mold. Now I'm not going to be doing it with this one. I know, always safety check it, make sure it's empty. If you're going to be covering or putting a lot of pressure over where the magazine goes, when you form this, you want to do it with the magazine in. I'm not going to be putting a lot of pressure. I'm leaving the magazine out on this one. But you might want to do that. Another thing, if you're doing a clamshell where it's going right over the top of the gun, you want to put some painter's tape with maybe a small dowel rod, or roll up some tape right across your sights so you don't have it accidentally mold a lip over your sights, and it'll lock it in the holster and you won't be able to draw very well. That's one thing. Some people, they will cover the entire gun in like a blue painter's tape, just a protective film, just so gives a little bit of a space in between the molding process. I like to have them as form-a-fit as possible, just to get the most retention possible. That's just my personal preference. There's going to be a lot of other ways to do this. Just do your homework. This is just the way I'm doing it. Okay, looks like it's up to temp now. Now, just to show you, it did curl up a little bit, but this is what you want. The hard plastic is all malleable. It's a bit hot to the touch, but I can hold it with my hands. And all I'm doing, this is just a mat, backpacking sleeping mat. I'm sandwiching my firearm about to where I want it, get the cant that I want, putting it in between the mats, being careful to get it pretty much where I want. You got to kind of work a little fast, because if it cools down too much, it's not going to mold so well. But then you just press down. There are times I've actually literally just sat onto my firearm until that plastic cools. Okay, finally got the shape I was desiring, and while it's still warm and a little bit pliable, if you have a really good pair of scissors, you can actually cut. It's starting to get a little too cold. The shape of your holster that you want with a good set of scissors. This stuff, while it's a little warm, cuts nicely. Now once it starts cooling like this, it gets a little bit tougher. But that's what I'll probably do, is I'll end up using the torch again, and I'll just heat up the areas where I want to cut, and I'll get this cut out, and then I'll show you the finished product. Okay, I got the final shape cut out. I did heat up the plastic a little bit, made some reliefs for my belt. I just very carefully heated with multiple passes of the torch till it was a little bit soft. And actually I just ran my belt through and pulled it straight, and till it cooled, and it kept that shape then. But as you can see, it only took me maybe a half hour total of on camera and off camera. Now I probably have a little bit of tweaking to do, but it fits very close to the body. an extremely tight retention. A little bit of plastic on there from when I dremeled the holes. The one thing I might do is this upper lip, I might sand it a little bit and fold it outwards to make it a little easier to reholster. Because I notice for holstering, it's a little tight right now. And I'd rather be able to reholster a little bit quicker. But that basically is making a holster for pennies. Thanks for watching. Like what you see, subscribe down below, and I'll see you next time.